Whether we refer to the act of living or to all sentient beings in this world, life has always been a difficult concept for humans to understand. Even when life has preceded us on this planet for 3.5 billion years, and we ourselves have roamed Earth for plenty of millennia, there are many questions about it that we still cannot answer. What is the meaning of life? Is there life after death? These, among many others, are typical questions of any philosophical debate, questions as old as humankind itself. But then we have strange questions, unconventional doubts about life that do not usually come to our minds on a normal day. Have you ever wondered what Earth would be like if it were devoid of all life? Then this video is for you. If not, keep watching anyway. Some of the answers or the questions themselves exposed here will certainly not leave you indifferent. Question number 10. Currently, the human population is slowly approaching 8 billion people. That is certainly quite a number, but it does not even compare with the 100 trillion ants under our feet. And it is estimated that at any given time, there are 5 nonillion bacteria in the world. That's a 5 followed by 30 zeros. There is no doubt that there are so many living organisms on Earth that trying to count them would be an unachievable task. And again, all this is just about the currently existing life forms. But what about all the life that has existed in the past? Determining how many creatures could have inhabited Earth throughout the history of the planet is extremely difficult. It is believed that complex life has been around in this world for at least 570 million years, and the fossils we have managed to recover are a minimum percentage compared to the prehistoric remains that are either out of our reach or have been destroyed by geological processes. But using their ingenuity, scientists have come up with a correlation between the number of fossils and the currently known species to estimate the total of life that has ever existed. Today, the experts are pretty convinced that 99.9% of all species on Earth are extinct. This number is understandable, considering that the Earth's biosphere has suffered 5 mass extinctions during the last 400 million years. On average, more than 80% of all living beings were erased from the face of the Earth in each of these 5 events, and a significant part of the scientific community believes that today we are facing a 6th mass extinction. Estimates say that the species disappear 100 times faster today than before of our existence. And in the last 50 years, humans have eliminated 60% of animal life. So unfortunately for us, death is much more common than life in this world. Question number 9. Today, most scientists are sure that all life on Earth comes from a common ancestor. This primal being would have been nothing more than a unicellular organism, created by random chemical reactions in the early Earth. However, what scientists do not yet understand is exactly how this process took place, and all their attempts to replicate the origin of life have failed so far. Perhaps the answer to this mystery could be found in a theory called lithopanspermia. The theory of panspermia suggests that early life forms were brought to Earth from somewhere else in the universe, such as nearby planets. Within the same idea, lithopanspermia states that rocky fragments of another world containing microbial life were ejected into space after some kind of planetary impact. Millions of years later, those rocks reached Earth, and the life they carried inside began its evolutionary cycle here. The concept behind panspermia appeared several centuries ago in France, and since then it has been an object of scientific study, although other theories generate more interest nowadays. Nevertheless, there are several indications supporting the possibility that lithopanspermia really occurred. Using collision simulations, researchers at Pennsylvania State University have concluded that it is statistically possible that a space rock containing microbes can travel from one planet to another by ejection. Of course, there is the problem that space is too hostile to allow the survival of life due to factors such as radiation and extreme temperatures. But we know that there are multiple bacterial species capable of resisting the harshest environments, from the hottest places on Earth to the darkness of outer space. In addition, a recent study shows that the main elements that make up life on Earth are common in stars, existing more abundantly toward the center of our galaxy than in our planetary region. In short, the matter we are formed from literally comes from another region of the universe. So life may not be so special across the cosmos after all. Question number 8. The answer to this question has nothing to do with some kind of quantum theory where someone can be in two states at the same time, nor does it refer to whether we can be like zombies, the classic description of the living dead. We can say that yes, some creatures seem to be alive and dead at the same time, but everything has to do with the inability of scientists to agree on what exactly differentiates a living being from dead matter. Some scientists understood that all life forms must share immutable similarities in their nature and behavior. So in 1997, they proposed a list of 7 conditions that something must meet to be considered a living being. Every living organism must have a complex chemical composition and be made up of basic structures called cells. It must be able to grow, reproduce, and respond to external stimuli. The creature must also have a metabolism to produce its own energy and be able to adapt to the environment. Now, let's consider the case of viruses. Generally, and even from the scientific point of view, viruses are considered to be biological entities. That is, they are living beings. A virus has complex genetic materials inside and definitely adapts to the environment. But a virus cannot grow or produce its own energy. It feeds on the energy already produced by its host. It also does not reproduce, but replicates itself using the cells of the host. In fact, a virus is not even made of a single cell, and it remains to be seen if it responds immediately to external stimuli. So we know that a virus is alive, but it does not meet most of the requirements to be alive, sharing more similarities with the machine instead. It happens that many inert objects partially fulfill several of those conditions too. Even fire could once have become a tricky phenomenon when it came to differentiating it from a true living being. As our knowledge of the elemental processes of life increases, we will be able to make the differences clearer. Question number 7. Compared to the rest of our solar system, anyone who sees the Earth from space can quickly notice that it is a planet covered in life. More than 30% of the continents of our world are covered by green vegetation. This, along with the blue of the oceans, makes Earth look like a living oasis in the midst of emptiness. But then one might wonder what the real physical weight that life exerts on our planet is. For obvious reasons, until recently it was very difficult to estimate the total mass of life on Earth. But studies conducted in 2018 show that even all living creatures put together are negligibly small in comparison to the vastness of our world. In May 2018, American scientists published a report containing measurements of the mass of all carbon-based life on Earth. Since all known life forms are carbon-based, and carbon is an abundant element inside every living being, using it to estimate the total biomass seems appropriate. The results showed that in total, life on this planet weighs at least 550 gigatons of carbon, or to simplify, 550 billion tons. Considering that the whole Earth weighs approximately 6.57 billion gigatons, That means that all living beings combined account for about 1/10 millionth of the total mass of the planet. As we can see, living nature is just a tiny portion of everything that makes our world. In this estimate, plant life represents more than 80% of the total biomass. Meanwhile, humans only represent 0.01% among all life. This is surprising, considering that our cities and buildings cover at least 3% of the Earth's land surface, a huge portion compared to the effect of other species. That means that although we are few, we are good at what we do, whether it's something good or bad. Question number 6. There are several philosophical theories that point out that the universe is in itself a living entity. For example, Hylozoism holds that all matter is alive, while panpsychism is the idea that every object in the cosmos has a certain degree of consciousness. Over time, these theories were left aside after the acceptance of new concepts such as evolutionism. But now, new discoveries and theories have allowed the idea of a sentient universe to gather strength again. First, we have the case of some experts who have hypothesized about how consciousness could be an intrinsic part of any existing structure. British physicist Roger Penrose theorized that human consciousness is a product of quantum processes within small regions of our brain cells. Taking this into account, astrophysicist Bernard Heisch conceived the possibility that quantum fields, the elementary structures that make up the universe, are capable of producing consciousness. In other words, any structure in the universe, be it a person or a star, can be sentient, since quantum properties are part of its own nature. On the other hand, both its very structure and behavior serve as possible evidence that the cosmos really is a thinking entity. According to a 2005 study, the intricate structure of the material universe looks strikingly similar to the neural network in our brains. In addition, it has been known for a long time that the structure of an atom is similar, even in proportion distances, to the planetary arrangement of our solar system. And as if that were not enough, new studies show that certain stars make unexpectedly corrections in their orbits across the galaxy. More information will be needed to confirm if the latter behavior is common in the rest of the universe, but the idea of a living cosmos is captivating science now more than ever.